Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we are looking at a company that just held its annual meeting. Don't worry, this isn't just boring meeting minutes. There are some actual interesting and impactful decisions that were voted on. Looks like BJ's Wholesale Club Holdings just released a report about their annual shareholder meeting, and they have big news. We're talking about approving executive pay, an important change that shields company officers from certain lawsuits, and even a vote on reducing greenhouse gas emissions. If you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below, where you can discuss all this with other investors and enthusiasts. Let's get into it. First up, let's talk about a pretty significant change buried in the filing. The shareholders approved something called an officer exculpation amendment. This sounds complicated, but what it really means is BJ's is changing its rules. Specifically their charter. This change means that company officers sometimes can be protected from being sued personally for certain types of mistakes that they make, or actions that they take while working for the company. This protection isn't unlimited, so the important thing is shareholder voted to allow for the possibility of added protection for its officers from lawsuits. This decision was made official when they filed what's called a certificate of amendment with the state of Delaware. Think of that as filing the final paperwork to make sure this change can happen. Now, why is this important? Well, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it could attract talented executives who are worried about being personally liable for company actions. On the other hand, some people might worry that this could reduce accountability because it allows the company to hide some corporate malfeasance. Let's dive into the voting results. At the annual meeting, a total of about 126 million shares were represented, which is over 95% of all the company's stock, so it was a very well attended event. First, everyone on the board of directors got re-elected. For example, Darryl Brown received around 11-15 million votes in favour, with about 6 million votes withheld. This means shareholders generally support the current leadership and direction of the company. Basically, the old guard is staying within the company and no major direction change is happening. Next, shareholders had an advisory vote on executive compensation, executive pay, and overwhelmingly approved it. About 130 million votes were cast in favour, compared to about 7 million against. So while it's non-binding, it shows that shareholders are generally happy with how the top executives are being paid. The appointment of PricewaterhouseCoopers as the company's accounting firm for fiscal year 2025 was ratified. This is very standard stuff. This is where external auditors verify that the finances are kept accurately. Almost 120 million votes were in favour. Remember that part about protecting officers from lawsuits? That also passed. Over 102 million shares voted for it, while almost 19 million voted against. So this was not as unanimous as the other votes. Finally, there was a shareholder proposal asking for a report on how BJ's plans to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It did not pass. In fact, only 36 million people voted for versus the 83 million who voted against. That is quite the difference. This means that shareholders aren't as concerned about environmental issues compared to, say, executive compensation. Or maybe they don't want to release those details given that it is a business secret. Now, what does this all mean? Well, the shareholders generally support management's decisions and direction. The vote on executive compensation pay went through, and the votes to keep the board of directors happened. The officer protection, that is the thing that got the most votes not in favour, that might mean for a potential weakness. As for the greenhouse gases report vote, it tells us that shareholders are less concerned about sustainability. In conclusion, BJ's Wholesale Club is pretty stable. There are no major changes happening based on all the vote results. We'll have to watch to see if anything big happens because of that officer protection vote. But for now, everything is standard and boring at BJ's. Alright, that's our breakdown of BJ's latest filing. What's your take on these votes and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.